What's up everybody, you got Tone here, bringing you my team builder for week number 2 of the NPA minors. This week we are taking on Liz, aka ProSneasel, and her Missouri Mudsdales. Now, we are both coming off of week 1 wins where, of course, if you guys missed my week 1 battle, the playlist will be in the description down below. I'll also leave my opponent's Twitter in the description. I do not know if she has a YouTube channel, but if I find it, I'll leave that in the description as well. So we're both coming off of wins in week number 1, of course, with my win coming against the South Texas Sableyes, managing to pull off a 6-0 sweep with Volcarona. I'm pretty sure I won't be able to do that this time around, considering that's a different team, different system, and all that stuff. But I'm just going to break down the team analysis for the matchup. So, as you see, my matchup is sort of balanced here. Her team is very, very threatening. Headlined by the fact that she does have a Mega Heracross, but which is very, very solid against teams that don't really have much of a matchup for it. But in terms of Mega Heracross's matchup against me, it's pretty lackluster to say the least, because I have a good check in Mega Heracross, being my Blade, as it forces Mega Heracross to run knockoff, or else it can't really do much damage else otherwise to my Blade. On top of that, I have a check with my Clefable and other faster offensive threats that can pressure it out pretty easily, being my Volcarona, my Crobat, Mega Gallade and Headbutt, all that sort of stuff. And she also has a very, very solid defensive core, being Tapu Fini plus Ferrothorn, which is a very solid backbone to have in draft league format, especially considering it's a 24-person league, and how she managed to get the Tapu Fini Ferrothorn combo going on here, which covers each other's weaknesses very, very well. And it's going to be kind of difficult to break, but I do have ways of getting past that. Now, the main Pokemon that does give me issues for this particular matchup is the Haxorus. Now, if I let Haxorus get up a Dragon Dance, it essentially can just wreck shop through my entire team. I am expecting Haxorus 100%. The combination of Dragon Stab plus Poison Jab and Earthquake by itself does a crap ton of damage to my entire team. And even the bulkiest of Pokemon I can bring to this particular matchup doesn't want to take a boosted Dragon Claw, Poison Jab, or Earthquake. Although I do have the means of taking them with my team, it is still kind of a very, very threatening force, especially considering the fact if she manages to get up a hazard stack going on between like Stealth Rock, Lycanroc, plus Spike's Ferrothorn, which is a possibility in this particular matchup, because her Stealth Rockers just come down to Ferrothorn, Lycanroc, Midday, and the Claydol. But I'm not really expecting Claydol. Claydol doesn't really have the best matchup against my team. Mega Heracross I'm not really expecting, to be honest. It could come, but I don't really see how much in doing much in the matchup. Tapu Fini is also kind of a 50-50, but I can see it coming just as a means to check my Mega Gallade, which is possible. It also can check my Volcarona to an extent if I'm not running Giga Drain. Ferrothorn I do expect, mainly just because it's something to weaken my physical attackers, my Blade, my Drapion, Druddigon, Kabutops, the whole 9 yards. Staraptor is also a 50-50, considering that Staraptor is essentially hard walled by my Blade. So if she does bring like a Scarf set, it makes it a lot easier to manage. But at the same time, it can be kind of annoying if it just keeps clicking U-turn and keep pivoting out to get a better matchup for herself. So there's that. Jolteon I can see coming because, like my week 1 matchup when I played Mega Magnetric, my electric resists basically comes down to Druddigon, Diggersby, and Torterra, and all 3 of them are weak to Hidden Power Ice coverage, so that's a problem. Lycanroc, kinda iffy about. I mean, it can come, but I don't really know what it's going to do other than getting up rocks. Umbreon I can see coming in an extent as a backup response to my Diggersby. to ease the pressure off of the Ferrothorn to check it, because it does get coverage like Fire Punch for the Ferrothorn. Delphox I do see coming, just because Fire plus Psychic Stab does a crap ton to my entire team. I don't really have a decent switch into both. Toxicroak is one of those an underrated Pokemon that actually threatens my team, looking at the potential sets that it can run against me. More notably, something like a Nasty Plot set was kind of scary for my team, especially considering that the combination of Poison plus Fighting hits everything on my team neutrally except for the Doublade. And if I recall correctly, Toxicroak does get access to Dark Pulse, so that can be a thing. So yeah, and I already talked about Claydol, and Claydol not really having that good of a matchup in this game. So if I were to predict the 6 that she would bring against my team, I would see Tapu Fini, Ferrothorn being a thing, Haxorus for sure, Staraptor is kind of in the air, Jolteon I see coming, Umbreon just for the Wish Pass, and then Delphox or Toxicroak, or bringing both of them actually would be problematic to just overpower my bulky offensive sort of build here. So with all that being said here, I've gone on for about 6 minutes now, so I'm going to just jump right into the team builder and see the team that I have built for this week. So first and foremost, we have our Ayumi, the Doublade, pretty much rocking a similar spread to week 1, with a little bit more defense investment this time around. Sword Stance, Shadow Sneak, Shadow Claw, and Sacred Sword with max HP, 100 attack, 156 defense with an impish nature. And what it allows my Doublade to do, I can take a +1 Groundium Z Earthquake from a Haxorus from full. Like, the roll is 87 to 99% from full HP. So I can take a Tectonic Rage from Z Earthquake Haxorus and then wear it down with like Shadow Claw and pick it off with like Shadow Sneak if it's weakened enough. So basically the idea behind Doublade is to just come in. If she does decide to bring the Mega Heracross, I can switch in on that unless she brings knockoff. I switch in on a good portion of her physical attackers here. I do have to be mindful of the Umbreon to an extent, because I can't really set up on that because of foul play. So I have to pick and choose my spots of when I can try to set up a Sword Stance and when just to go out for an attack. But the combination of Ghost plus Fighting, of course, hits her entire team neutral. There's no one Pokemon that resists that combination anyway, so I felt pretty safe bringing Sacred Sword over Iron Head. Iron Head only really hits the Lycanroc, which is weak to Fighting, so it didn't really make any sense to just specify Iron Head for just one Pokemon. And Sacred Sword is also there to help me deal with the Ferrothorn too, so there's that added bonus in running Fighting coverage over Steel Stab. So that is my Doublade. Next up we have Benjamin, our Choice Scarf, Diggersby, Return Earthquake, Fire Punch, and U-Turn. Running a Jolly Nature here with enough speed to outrun Timid Max being Jolteon if she decides to bring Scarf Staraptor. Like, she has roughly 4 Pokemon on her team that can essentially run a Choice Scarf set, being the Haxorus, the Staraptor, the Delphox, and to a lesser extent the Toxicroak. I can also throw Tapu Fini in there because it has a solid speed tier and whatnot. And all 5 of the Pokemon I mentioned are faster than my Diggersby, so it didn't really make any sense to try to like do some crazy investment here. So I just figured just outspeed her fastest non-Scarf threat, being the Jolteon. Return plus Earthquake is pretty spammable against her team. Fire Punch is there for the Ferrothorn, and U-Turn just grabs me some momentum for the rest of my team. So moving on now to our third Pokemon, we have Ceres, Nasty Plot Crobat, making its debut for the team. So I figured with Nasty Plot Crobat, it'd be a nice way to lure in some of the more common checks to the physical variant, being stuff like Ferrothorn, which does take a good chunk from Brave Bird if Choice Banded, but this is also nice for wearing down stuff like Heracross. I get better coverage by going special over physical with my Crobat. As you see, Air Slash is just a nice stab, hits the Mega Heracross. Heat Wave is here for the Ferrothorn, Sludge Bomb for the Tapu Fini. This is my main way of trying to break past the Tapu Fini Ferrothorn defensive core with my Crobat. So I were running max special attack, max speed, so I speed tie with her Jolteon. Although I can be picked off by, like, if I lose a speed tie with Jolteon. There's Excel Rock, Lycan Rock too, and there's also the Scarfers that I mentioned previously. So there's that to take note of. And of course, 29 IVs in HP, so I take less from with every life orb hit. So I take 15 points of damage as opposed to 16 if I left it at 31. So moving on now to our fourth Pokemon, we have Mama Jolt, the Clefable, Stealth Rock, Soft Boiled, Moonblast, and Flamethrower. A very straightforward Stealth Rock set. It's just here to provide me with Stealth Rock support to get some chip damage off on her team. Primarily the Staraptor and stuff, which are weak to Stealth Rock. And then Moonblast is just pretty spammable against her team, and Flamethrower is here for the Ferrothorn. I can't really do much to the Delphox, but at the same time, my Clefable's role isn't designed to try to switch in on Delphox in the first place, because, like I said before, Delphox is a problem for my team. Her special attackers in general are pretty problematic as a whole, so I had to be very, very careful about that. So our EV spread is max HP, 164 defense, 92 special defense with a relaxed nature. And with my investment, the HP and the special defense investment ensures that I am not 2-hit KO'd by a Life Orb Thunderbolt from a Jolteon, and the rest is put into defense to act as a better check to the likes of Haxorus and the rest of her physical attackers. And you see I'm running 0 IVs in speed with a relaxed nature. This ensures that I take as minimal damage as possible. If she decides to bring Ferrothorn with Gyro Ball, I take less damage, so I'm not outright like 2-hit KO'd or 3-hit KO'd by Gyro Ball with the lowered speed IVs. So that is Clefable. Moving on to our fifth Pokemon, we have Brexta making her debut, the Musharna with the Farium Z, Synchronized, Calm Mind, Moonlight, Side Shock, Dazzling Gleam. Now initially this wasn't even supposed to be the Musharna set I was running. I initially had Barrier and Stored Power on this set over Side Shock, Dazzling Gleam, and the reason why I held back was mainly because I didn't want to bring a Musharna that gets walled by an Umbreon, especially considering if I had the coverage needed to hit it. And on top of that, as I also mentioned, Haxorus was a very, very huge threat to my team, and I figured that the added coverage with Dazzling Gleam would help me out tremendously in this matchup. Albeit this set cannot do much to the likes of Ferrothorn, I feel that the rest of my team can cover Ferrothorn pretty well with a combination of Heat Wave, Crobat, Sacred Sword, Doublade, Flamethrower, Clefable, Fire Punch, Diggersby. So I'm very covered in aspects of dealing with the Ferrothorn, so I don't really see it being that much of an issue in terms of my Musharna trying to set up in the late game. So we're just running a very simple max HP, max defense set. Be as physically bulky as possible to try to check the Haxorus, as mentioned, as a Z Dazzling Gleam does one-hit KO Haxorus unless she brings like the Rosalie Berry, which is the Fairy Reduction Berry. And on top of that, it's just very nice coverage to also do damage to the Umbreon, which I said I did not want to be walled by if she does bring it. So that is the Musharna. It's mainly going to be my win con in this battle. And last but not least, we have our Scarlet the Drapion rocking the Assault Vest, Poison Jab, Knockoff, Fire Fang, and Earthquake. So as I mentioned, among other things, other than Haxorus being a threat, her special attackers in general were also a threat, being the Delphox, Special Toxic Rock, as I mentioned, being an underrated set, which can be a pain. Tapu Fini, I need something that can switch in on Surfs and Moonblast. And while this isn't the best check, so to speak, or the best switch in to her special attackers, it still is something to have in the back. And Drapion does fit the bill very nicely. It also gives me a backup Psychic check or a Psychic Immunity, so I'm not so reliant on my Musharna. And of course with the Musharna, the Farium Z to avoid being tricked or switcherooed by Delphox. So Assault Vest is here on my Drapion. It checks the Delphox, like I said. Special, like Nasty Plot Toxicroak gets checked by my Drapion, because I am running Earthquake for Toxicroak. I am running Earthquake for Delphox. I'm also running Knockoff for Delphox. Fire Fang for the Ferrothorn, so I really have Ferrothorn covered on this team. And then Poison Jab plus Knockoff is just solid overall utility moves just to have on my team. Poison Jab for the Tapu Fini, Knockoff, gets rid of items and whatnot. So running Jolly Nature with max attack, 180 speed, which is enough to outspeed a Jolly or Timid max speed Toxicroak, and the rest is put into HP to give it some added bulk. So yeah, that's going to be the team builder for this week, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you guys are new to the channel, and I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you on Saturday with the battle and see how things go in week number 2 of the NPA Minors. And until the next time, guys, my name is Anthony, aka Tone, and I'm going to catch you guys on the flip side. Later!